Hi everyone. This video is going to help with ratios with fractions, section 1-3 in the 7th grade. All right, so I have a couple people who are having some problems with this. So let's start with, and I think mostly because it has fractions in it. And this is where they're trying to get you to see a real life way that you'll use fractions, and then you have to remember how to divide them and everything. So let's look at a couple examples that I have here. So let's see. My first one is going to be your neighbor. Make sure you can read that. I don't want you to look at the solution yet. Your neighbor commutes 12 miles to work. You commute 9/10 of a mile to work or to school. Write the ratio of your neighbor's commute to your commute as a fraction in the simplest form. Okay, so the ratio of your neighbor's commute to your commute. So which one do you want to divide by when it's worded that way? Do you want to divide by the 12 or the 9/10? I want to divide by the 9/10. And the reason why is because you want the ratio to be of them, then your commute. So let's write that over here on my piece of paper. I'm going to walk you through the steps on that one. So this is just my example number one. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 12 miles and divide it by 9/10. This has got miles on it. And this has got miles on it because I want to show you something with those. All right, so I'm dividing by a fraction. What do I do when I divide by a fraction? I have to flip it and multiply. So I'm going to keep the 12, and you can think of it as 12 over 1. So 12 over 1 miles times 10 over 9. And that's how I can reduce it into a fraction in simplest form. So I can take and let's see, we can cancel a 3 out of the 12 and 9. So we're going to divide 3 into 12 and get 4. We're going to divide 3 into 9 and get 3 just to reduce those fractions. 4 times 10 is 40. And 1 times 3 is 3. So I get 40 thirds. Can you reduce any further? No, 3 doesn't go into 40, right? So you could say, all right, it goes in so many times and make it a mixed fraction, but I don't mind improper, so this is fine. 40 thirds is your answer, but what happens to our miles? When I divide a mile by a mile, they cancel each other. So I don't have miles as my answer. I just have 40 thirds, and that's it. That's just my answer is 40 thirds. Okay. Let's do another one. Let's look at, oh, they did the other way, but so yeah, we could do the other way. Write the ratio of your commute to your neighbor's commute as a fraction. So what did they change on this one? They said the ratio of your commute first and your neighbor's second. So neighbor's is second, so it's got to go second in that denominator. So instead of the first way we wrote it here, we're going to write it as 9/10, and we want to divide that by 12. And I'm going to write it as 12 over 1, just because I think it's a little easier to think of that 12 as a fraction as well. So again, what do? We're going to flip that over and multiply so that we have 9/10, and we're going to times that by 1/12. All right, and then we need to reduce the 3 out of the 9 and 12 again. So divide 3 into 9 and we get 3. Divide 3 into 12 and we get 4. So 3 times 1 is 3 and 10 times 4 is 40. 30 40ths. Hey, how do they relate to each other? They're the flipped over version of each other, right? So then the part C says, how are the ratios from part A and B related? Any way you want to say that, they're reciprocals of each other. That's the mathematical term, right? Or they are the flipped over version of each other because you're dividing the other way. And so any of these problems where we have ratios and their fractions, all you have to worry about is which one goes in the bottom and making sure you reduce the fractions to the lowest terms. Let's do one that's mixed fractions so you remember how to convert. Um, okay, so I was looking at this one. I was trying to find one that's not in your homework for me to do, but let's see. Let's do this one here. Should have planned which one. All of a sudden I was like, let's do one with mixed fractions, but then I didn't have one ready. Okay, a professional football field is 53 and 1/3 yards wide. So that's our yards wide. Find the ratio of the width of the actual field to the width of the field in the poster as a fraction in simplest forms. So the first thing that they did was they took and converted to feet. So they went, all right, well, one's in yards, one's in feet. So they converted the 53 and 1/3 to yards, or yards to feet. That is something that um, you could have gone the other direction with. So this one you could end up with the right answer and have done it a completely different way. So let's look at how they did that. And I'm going to write this one out on my paper too so that I can kind of show you my way. Okay, so we have 53 and 1/3. And I want to change that yards to feet. So how many feet are in a yard? We know there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So there's 3 feet in 1 yard. So that's our conversion. You could totally look any of those conversions up on the calculator, on the Google, on your computer. So let's start with changing this to improper. So I'm going to use my calculator. 53 times 3 is 159. And then I add that 1 back to get 160 thirds. And this is 160 thirds yards. And when I want to convert that, I am going to times it by my conversion where I have the yards on the other fraction so that they cancel in the denominator. So basically, we're going to have 3 feet to 1 yard. That was our conversion. And you want to make sure that whatever's in the numerator here is in the denominator here for your conversions. That will kind of help you with which way to go with your conversions. Okay, so that the yards cancel and our answer will be in feet. So I need 160. Well, look at the 3's times 3 divided by 3. Well, the 3's are going to cancel to 1, right? 3 divided by 3 is 1. So I actually end up with 160 feet, which is pretty. So all I did right now is convert them both to feet, and I think they wanted the answer in feet, so I guess we probably had to convert to feet. Did they say the actual field? Yeah, width in field of the posterior diffraction. I couldn't remember if they actually said, because I was like, you could go the other way. Then I was like, no, I think they asked for it to be a specific way. All right, then let's go back to what it said. It says, find a ratio of width of actual field to the width of the poster. So which one do I want to divide by? I want to divide by the poster because it was second, and the poster was the 1 1/2. So the poster is 1 1/2. Let's convert that to a mixed fraction. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3/2. So my ratio is going to be 160 divided by 3/2. 160 divided by 3/2. 3/2 was from the poster. So flip that 3/2 over, and you're going to get 2 over 3 and over 1 for the 160. So 160 I think is divisible by, nope, it's not. So 160 times 2 is 320. Do you know how the trick works for knowing if it's divisible by 3? 6 plus 1, you add the digits, is 7. 3 doesn't go into 7, so 3 can't go into 160. I'm not going to go into detail about that, but if you know that trick, that's actually how I went. And wait, 3 doesn't go in there. Okay, so 160 times 2 is 320. 3 times 1 is 3. And so our answer is 320 over 3 feet. Or did nope, our feet canceled. That's our ratio. 320 over 3. All right, so hopefully this video helped you. So just biggest thing to do is work on your division of fractions. All right? Let me know if you need more help.